Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Lush Gardener. So somebody had requested me for a video on pest issues. Now I did have some new succulents that had come in. So this is going to be a perfect example to show you the different types of fungus and pests that tend to attack our succulents. Now on number one, we have aphids. Now aphids also tend to attack our succulents, but compared to mealybugs, aphids are a little bit rare, and aphids will only attack a succulent when the succulent has a bloom. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit and you'll be able to see these small little black insects. These are aphids. They come in white, red, green and black. They have different colors. Now the reason why this plant is being attacked by aphids is because you can see there is a tiny little bloom that is coming up, and that's what they tend to attack. Usually they tend to attack the flower buds. This bud is very small, so unfortunately I cannot cut it at this point of time. I usually tend to cut once I tend to see the connecting stem, but over here it is still very small, but it's already affected with aphids, and I think it's already starting to multiply, so it's the right time to get rid of them. Now I went to the store to get cinnamon powder. Unfortunately it is out of stock, so it's going to take some while for them to restock it, but I cannot leave the succulent like this. So what I'm going to do is I will be cleaning it up with the brush. I have some soap water over here. I will clean it and try to put all of those in this soap water. It is little difficult to clean because they are very tiny. I cannot cut the bloom at this point of time. Ideally I tend to cut the bloom off, but it's going to be very difficult because the bloom does not have a stem yet. But what's necessary is to get rid of them as soon as possible and keep it in morning direct sunlight so that they don't come back. Ideally with the brush, because this succulent does not have any farina, thankfully, so it's very easy to clean with the brush. Otherwise it would have been a little bit difficult. If it had farina, I would have just sprinkled some cinnamon powder and then blown it off with the help of the succulent blower. But because this succulent does not have farina, it's much easy to clean this one. There's a lot of soil that has fallen from the roots. That is not all of the aphids. The aphids are somewhere in that, but it's okay. They will not survive in the soap water. This is just the dish soap along with some water, and that is going to kill the aphids once they fall into it, because we don't want them to spread anywhere around, so we want to immediately kill them off. So now it looks a little bit better. Probably there would be a little bit more. I will clean it off properly later on because it's a little difficult to see. But majority of them have got cleared off and they have fallen right into that soap water, so they are not going to survive or multiply. So this looks fine now. A little bit more. This is the difficult part because to clean everything, but I will make sure that everything falls into the soap water. So yes, it's pretty much done. So this is how you clean succulents with no farina on. You can use a brush, very gently clean it off. But succulents with farina, you'll have to use cinnamon powder, wait for 30 minutes and blow it off with a succulent blower. So this one is clean. Now this is the second one. This one only has mealybugs. It does not have any aphids in it. When the succulent starts to bloom, they get affected with aphids as well as mealybugs. But most of the times it is mealybugs that tend to attack our succulents. Now over here, as you can see, there is a large mealybug. Probably it has also laid some babies, and there is some kind of black mold that is growing. Now this black mold is ideally not very dangerous for the succulent. It can easily get cleaned off, but it will be present when there are mealybugs. It is usually accompanied with the mealybugs because the mealybugs tend to secrete some kind of honeydew kind of a substance, due to which this mold also tends to show up on the succulent leaves. So again, it would have been much easy for me if I had cinnamon powder, but we have to work without it. Probably I'll go again after 2 days and check if it is available, because the black mold mealybugs, they don't like the smell of cinnamon powder and they start to loosen up. But with this brush as well, they are able to kind of get off from the succulent leaves, because you can see the leaves, they are right in between like this. So when you tend to add cinnamon powder, it reaches over there and they start to loosen up. But when we don't add any cinnamon powder, it becomes a little difficult because they kind of attach themselves to the leaves in order not to fall off from the leaves. So that's why it becomes a little difficult. And here you will be able to see the white ones. These are all the mealybugs. You can see this. These are the mealybugs. They will definitely not survive in the soap water, so that's why this is the next remedy that I have. But you can also see I'm not using any spray, anything on the succulent leaves. So I always prefer the dry method. It takes a little bit of time, but it tends to work out really well. Ideally with cinnamon powder it becomes much easy. Now you must be wondering, why did I take out the succulent from the soil? Is it necessary? No, it is not necessary. You do not need to take the succulent out from the soil. These are some new succulents that had come in and they are affected with these mealybugs. So that's why these have been kept far away. I haven't potted them yet because I wanted to treat them first before putting them into the soil. You can see overall the succulent's health is also not quite good. You can see this, a lot of dry leaves. The shape of the leaves are not good. They are not very uniform, probably because of the mealybug attack. The leaves also get deformed because of mealybug attack, so that is another issue with mealybugs. But I think most of it is cleared off. Black mold, there is very little of it. We will clean it off. Probably once we add some cinnamon powder, it will get even more better. There are still some more, but we will try to tap and release all of those mealybugs. And I think it is pretty much good now. You can see most of that mold has gone off. Rest of it will be taken care once I sprinkle some cinnamon powder. So we have cleaned. I will definitely clean it more after I'm done with this video, but I just wanted to give you an example. And also, if you notice, mealybugs, pest issues, fungus will only attack succulents that are not in a very good health. Most of my succulents, almost 98-99% of my succulents are in a very healthy condition, so they usually do not get affected with any kind of fungus, any kind of mold, pest issues, maybe mealybugs here and there depending upon the season, but most of my succulents do not get affected like this. Aphids, yes, when there are blooms. Mealybugs, yes, when there are blooms, but I tend to cut them off the moment I start noticing a long strand of the bloom. That's when I start to cut it off. This one was very small, so I was not able to cut it off. So these were the two examples, aphids, mealybugs. Now I'm going to show you the third example. This is related with fungus. You can see this. This is called as powdery mildew. Again, the same thing. This is a new succulent that has just come in. We will not be spraying anything on this. I don't use any chemicals or any insecticides or any pesticides, anything that has chemicals. Most of the stuff that I tend to do is either homemade remedies or something that is organic. Now, in order to treat the powdery mildew, here I have some raw milk, around 1 tablespoon. Next thing what we are going to do is just add in some water and dilute it. That's about it. Once it's diluted, we will just give it a quick stir. And so here, as you can see, this is how the colony of powdery mildew tends to look like. Please don't mistake this with farina. This is not how farina tends to look like. This is how the colony of powdery mildew tends to look like. So we're just going to take the brush. So now I will just dip the brush in that diluted raw milk. We don't need soap water over here. And the place where we see the powdery mildew, we are just going to clean that with that milk. If the succulent has farina, it will get disturbed. That's absolutely fine. Right now we have to focus more on getting rid of that powdery mildew than the farina. Farina is secondary over here because powdery mildew is one of the most dangerous type of fungus. It can spread really fast onto all of your collection. That's why this succulent was kept far away. Again, the same thing, guys. You do not need to take out the succulent from the pot. These were not potted. As soon as they came, I kept them far away. So I've not let them come in contact with any of my collection. So in this way, we will clean even the ones that are yellow leaves. So we are pretty much done. I'm also going to put around the upper leaves as well because they are also quite affected. Even the older dry leaves which will eventually fall off, we will cover them as well because we don't want any of active powdery mildew on the succulent. Now the next step is the most important. we can't just put the milk and leave it as it is. Now after we have brushed the diluted raw milk onto the powdery mildew, the next step is to keep it in direct morning sunlight. Now the reason why we are doing this is because the proteins in the milk, when it reacts with the sunlight, they tend to create a brief antiseptic effect on the succulent leaves, which tends to kill the powdery mildew. The pores of the powdery mildew will be killed when there is this reaction of raw milk with sun. It creates a kind of antiseptic effect, and that is going to kill the pores as well as the powdery mildew. If there are a little bit of burns, we can't do much. This is one of the safest option if you do not want to use any chemicals onto your succulent. Now, of course, it will take some time to show you the results of the succulent. Until then, I am going to keep a check on it. Now, after the application, let's say after 2 or 3 days, you happen to see that the powdery mildew is still present, then you'll have to again do the process probably after 2 or 3 days. But as of now, we are going to let it be over here, and we will check it again after a couple of days. I will definitely keep you guys updated on this succulent, how it is doing, and if at all the powdery mildew has come back. So guys, that was all about it. These are the different ways you can treat your succulents at home. As I said, always have a precaution. The precautions are: ensure that you have a very lean organic soil. Do not have too much of rich organic soil for your succulents. Let there be a good amount of air circulation. Restricted airflow can result in powdery mildew. So this succulent is going to be kept in a place where there is a good amount of air circulation. Of course, I'm not going to keep it closer to any of my other succulents until I am 100% sure that the powdery mildew is completely gone. Until then, it is going to be kept isolated. I will definitely repot it probably today or tomorrow, and I will keep a close watch. So that was all about it. I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button, and if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe, and keep propagating.